One of the most important lessons that I have learned, both related to the discipline of communication and to the world at large, is that our perception shapes our reality. Our understanding of the world and of what it means to be real or true is filtered through our perceptions. And one of the ways I see this connecting to the discipline of communication is through this idea of the medium is the message. This is not an idea that's original to me. And as we seek to understand this, we can understand the ways in which the medium is and is not the message. That by being the message, it's also separate. That might sound confusing. Let's dive in and take a look at what I mean when I say that the medium is the message. Here we have the communication model. The basic communication model is that there is a sender and there is a receiver, and that these two parties are interacting in this communication event by sending and receiving messages. That the sender is encoding meaning, right? If we think back to this semiotic model, that our thoughts are represented by symbols, and therefore the symbols, the words that I'm using, are directly derived from my thoughts. So I'm encoding meaning in these symbols, and I'm sending that to a receiver who then has to decode what those symbols mean. And then they give feedback. It's a back and forth, a conversation. But around this model, around this message that's being sent, there's noise. Physical noise, like, a loud restaurant. Psychological noise, where I'm distracted by something else that I keep on thinking about. Maybe I had a really rough morning, or I had an argument with this person that's shaping how I hear things. But the most important piece that I want to focus on today is right up here where it says channel. The channel is the medium. It's how is the communication, the message expressed. We might be speaking face to face. Right now, I'm using a camera. There's a microphone right up here. So my voice is being sent through the air to this microphone that is then traveling along cords to the recorder on the camera and being processed and digitized and added to the video. That's the channel that I'm using. But I'm also using YouTube. That's the channel that the video is ultimately posted on. I'm using Blackboard by embedding this video from YouTube into the LMS platform for our university. That all is the channel. It's the medium. And when I say that the medium is the message, what I mean is the medium has such a profound impact on the message that is communicated. Not only is it influencing how you're interacting with the message, but it's influencing how I'm communicating the message. I am in a small little studio right now. I've decided on a specific style that I want these messages to have. I want to have a background, I want a computer here, I want this table. I want to be professionally lit so that I'm easy to see. I want to be professionally mic'd so that I'm easy to be heard. So the medium is already impacting the message, but then you can add on to that I could stop and start recording. I could record many times. I could edit these videos so that any slip up is taken out. Any stumble over words or any stutter or slur is covered. That impacts the message. Are you getting the whole message or just what I want you to get? If we were actually in the classroom right now, I wouldn't be able to go back and edit, would I? But it doesn't stop there. Because I am alone in this studio, I'm not actually, there's nobody here for me to imagine talking to. So I have to imagine who you are. Who is my audience right now? That's impacting the message too. There's nobody that's face to face. It's just a camera. So that's not only impacting the message, it's impacting how I'm encoding things. It's impacting my tone. I know that because I'm two-dimensional, I have to be more emotive. I have to be more expressive. Otherwise, I end up coming across a little flat. I understand all of these things, and so I'm adapting to them. I'm choosing the best way to engage with you all while understanding what my medium is. Once you begin to see that the medium is the message, you begin to see this everywhere. Think about your smartphone or your cell phone or your smart device. Think about the different ways that you might communicate using this device, the different apps that you have on your phone. If someone were to say to you face to face, the things that they might say to you through one of these apps, it would probably come off a little weird, right? A tweet has a very specific type of format and a very specific type of language that's used on Twitter that would be odd if it were spoken face to face. But in a similar way, if we think about Snapchat, which has a limited lifespan. When you snap something, I think I'm using that term correctly. I had to ask some people who actually use Snapchat. It has a limited life. It only exists for a certain amount of time. Even if you add it to, a story, you add it to something that's a little bit more long form, sticks around for a little bit while longer, it's still going to disappear. When you use maybe email, that might have a longer lifespan. That may stick around for a while, depending on the organization that you send the email through or the personal habits of the receiver. I'm really bad at deleting emails. I keep things for a long time, in part because my memory isn't always the best, and so being able to go back and reread emails is really important for me. So I archive emails so that it clears off my email a little bit, but I can still go back and find them, which is really sort of reassuring for me. But the way that you communicate to me via email would be different than if you tweeted at me, or if you found me online, maybe on Facebook or Instagram, and you commented on a photo. That would be different than how you interact with me face to face. So when I say that perception shapes reality, this is what I'm talking about. Literally, the lens that you use to communicate, the app that you use to communicate is going to shape how you communicate. The social norms, your unique understanding of language, the constraints of the app, the functions of the app and what it could do, all of this is impacting the message that is sent and how we perceive things on that app. Maybe you enter into every single app as your most true self, and you don't allow the culture of that app to impact you. But what we know is that that's rare, that people tend to adapt their communication to the context, to the medium in which they are using. So, how are you adapting your communication when you are using different medium? The idea here is that be careful about what you assume to be true about people you interact with, what you think to be true about their intent and how they communicate, how nuance of body language and tone might be hard to pick up in different media. If it's true that our perception is shaping our reality and it's really hard to understand intent through written word, be careful about your assumptions. Understand that there are rules that govern how things like sarcasm are expressed, how the use of emojis might communicate emotion, how the formality of your language could communicate things like professionalism and respect. It'd be weird to write in all paragraphs on Facebook. In fact, when we see that, it usually is communicating a rant is coming. But using paragraphs in an email to a professor or a faculty member might be appropriate. So, understand the media that you're using, the rules, the functions, the constraints, and the benefits that are provided to you by that media choice. And understand that your interpretation of what you're reading might not be the sender's intent. What's the most generous read that you can give to a given text or message that you receive? Because if the media isn't very rich, in other words, allowing for multiple ways of interpreting and understanding the speaker, chances are you might be off a little bit. Here's what I do. If I get an email from somebody and my first reaction is, this person's really angry with me, take a step back and ask yourself, what's the most generous read here? What could be going on in this person's life? But also, what if I stripped away that preconceived idea that there's, some sort of emotional intent here, and just read the email as if everything's good? How might that change my response? But I don't stop there. If I'm able, go to that person offline, maybe through a video chat, and ask them, hey, can you help me understand this email or this tweet or this post on Facebook? It seemed to me like X, or the story that I'm telling myself is that you are upset with me. Is that true? If we would be willing to ask questions about what we believe to be true, it would mean that we understand that our perceptions are shaping our reality and they are not always trustworthy. Your perception is not reality, but it is shaping how you see reality. Being humble enough to admit, hey, I might be reading this wrong. I might be receiving this message in a way that you never intended to send it, might just lead to fewer fights, arguments, miscommunications. It might lead to better relationships, more success, better opportunities. So, remember, your perception is shaping your reality and what you believe to be true. Ask questions. The medium is going to impact the way the message is constructed, but also the way the message is received. So whether you're the sender or receiver, you have a responsibility to understand that the person receiving this message, that their perception is going to shape their reality. So consider how you come across, and consider pursuing alternative means, alternative media to communicating that message if it's important. Our perceptions are going to shape our reality, so we need to be careful in making sure that we've taken the time to question our perceptions. Otherwise, our sense of reality and what's true is going to be off. So, what do you see in the world around you, in the media around you? And how is that driving your ideas about what's true?